Maybe I'm just nostalgic, or maybe it's truly magical. Oh, when I see that castle, the feeling is truly magical. Maybe I'm just nostalgic. Maybe it's truly magic. Maybe I'm just nostalgic. Maybe it's truly magic.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Brooke.
And this is a DisNeatoPodcast.
During our Animal Kingdom episode last month, we briefly mentioned the idea of building a Disney Mount Rushmore based on my trip to Mount Rushmore when I was a child when Pocahontas came out. So, producer Matt came up with the idea and has declared this episode Mouse Rushmore.
Mouse, M-O-U-S-E.
So we did just that, kind of.
So I very purposefully gave no criteria for how to build their Mouse Rushmore.
No, there is criteria. You say build a Disney Mount Rushmore. That means 4 heads.
So this episode, more than any other episode, will let the listeners really get a vibe on the differences between Andrew and Brooke when there's a net underneath them or not a net underneath them, because Brooke just dove right in there and built like 19 mountains.
I think it's 8 mountains, first of all.
And Andrew struggled to figure out how to construct his mountain and made some type of horrible triple-headed beast of a Mount Rushmore.
You set us up for failure, okay?
Kind of,
because there are so many Disney characters. How can you possibly pick 4 to put on a mountain? So I put different criteria around my mountains to select my 4 characters per mountain. And we'll go through that.
Okay.
So for me, obviously, like you said, I didn't have that net. I just went buck wild with my Mouse Rushmores, and I was so all about it. I'm so excited to share. I have some that have more than 4 heads, and some with like 3 or even 2. So Andrew, you can kind of help me like sort through those.
I'll do what I can.
But you have 1 mountain? Do you have 1 mountain? Just
So,
tell me yes or no.
Without reading anything on this list here I have, look at the jumble. It's a jumble.
That
was very brief.
confused me.
It confused me too. So here's the thing. There's not much criteria for this, right?
That's correct, aside from the 4 heads.
Yes. And so my first thought was, all right, my top favorite characters. That's what I'm going to do. And I was like, you know what? No. We already did the top Disney movies, and I explained my why.
No, those are songs.
Songs,
Not
sorry.
movies.
Top Disney songs. But, like, I don't want to just pick who I think is my favorite because, which led me to my next piece of research, what was the history of Mount Rushmore itself? Ugh. And why each president was chosen for Mount Rushmore.
Gross.
I know. This is where my mind goes when there's no criteria. So
we are so different.
What I find is, every president on that was chosen because of what they did being so influential and, pushing our country forward.
So who is it? So it's George Washington,
Abraham Lincoln,
Thomas Jefferson, right? Is it Thomas Jefferson?
Listen, this is not my kind of trivia.
Is it Thomas Jefferson?
I know Teddy
George
and Teddy
Roosevelt. Yeah, that's it. It's on 4.
Is it Thomas Jefferson, though?
I don't know.
Matt.
Matt.
Get us Beats by Dre and please look up who the 3rd president is on.
We need Alexa, too, for these.
Yeah.
But, so, I did that research, right? But I kind of am glad I did that because then I completely changed my thought about it, which helped me a little. And I thought to myself...
It helped you pick 10 heads for a 4-headed mountain.
No, I thought to myself, okay, what Disney characters were the most influential? What Disney characters helped progress Disney the most?
That's one mountain.
Mount Rushmore features a 60-foot sculpture of the heads of 4 United States presidents: George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln.
Yes,
beautiful.
It was my good man, TJ.
Well
Got
done. So, wrong list. Wine. Too much wine.
So how do we want to do this? Do we want to go through your 1 Mount Rushmore or go through like one of my 8?
Well, mine's not really 1. That's a problem.
What do you mean it's not 1? So what is it? Is it 2?
So here's the thing. I had that thinking. And so I started to build that mountain. And how that started looking was my first person, character, person, Mickey Mouse, right?
Obviously, yeah.
Obviously, no matter what, Mickey Mouse got to be on there. That's Disney. When you think Disney, you think Mickey Mouse.
Yes.
That was the first, real Disney animated character. So Mickey Mouse. I got to number 2. Number 2 on that list ended up being Snow White, because Snow White was the first fully colorized animated film and the first one done in America. So that was a first for both for the country, for Disney, and for that type and style of film itself. So I was like, okay, those are big moments. So then I started thinking further and looking at all the other Disney movies that come out, and it gets a little gray because there's no few things that are huge moments for Disney. I mean, we have like, okay, not in that sense, but as far as something as monumental as like the first.
There was a lull there, and I feel like Little Mermaid was that first big like.
Yeah, and stuff came back, but there wasn't anything incredibly like nothing that was never done before anywhere in the world. As far as like, Mickey being like the first animated character, or like the Snow White as being like the first of something.
Yeah, but in
we
that
could
time
think about
period,
Pixar
you built
films.
Classics.
Yeah, so now as I think about this more, there's probably more. But so
See, that's why
I got
built,
stuck
like,
after
9
2.
mountains.
At that moment, I got stuck. So I was like, scrap that. There's something greater here.
All right. Take
Influence and big moments aren't just about doing something nobody else has done. So then from an influential perspective, I thought, which characters made the biggest influence on me?
So we're going sentimental. I like this.
So I started going sentimental. And where I ended up landing and why mine has about 10 heads is because what I ended up landing on was my favorite duos in Disney movies that represent something kind of monumental for me. Right?
Okay, so they have some kind of like value, some kind of moral.
So that one head
kind of trait.
equates to one thing that's made up of 2 characters and their combined effort.
There's really 5 heads, is what you're saying. There
Yeah,
are like 5
they're kinda
real
double heads.
values. Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Go
So
through
that's
your
where
mouth,
we
because I've
went.
got like 8, so we can get to them later.
perfect. Number 1, Timon and Pumbaa.
Yeah. What do they represent for you?
Fun.
Yeah.
Fun in life and having
Carefree.
fun. Exactly.
I feel like being true to yourself.
That's one of the biggest things I think that is most important in life and in myself, and telling myself that shit every day. So Timon and Pumbaa get one of the slots.
Okay.
2, Fox and Hound.
No.
And that one is bonding and the idea of bonding and acceptance of somebody who is not like you, not from your realm, blah, 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 blah.
It's the accepting of differences.
And looking past all that.
Yeah. That's good. I like that one.
Next, we have Lady and the Tramp. Lady and Tramp. And they represent love for me. Because their story is beautiful. They're so freaking cute together.
Limitless love.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
But again, it's building upon, to me, is like kind of these core kind of values that
Yeah.
make up my Mount Rushmore, my
Yeah.
Mouse Rushmore. Then I have Mickey and Mouse are on there, or Mickey and Minnie are on there. I'm starting. The wine's kicking in, guys. Bear with us. Mickey and Minnie are on there because they're the classic. They're the original.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
So they get
I
that
agree.
spot. We talked about that. I got 1, 2, 3. So then my last one is a toss-up between the 2. And one is Marlin Dory. Marlin and Dory from Finding Nemo, because to me they represent very good teamwork.
Yeah.
Even if you can't stand the person, you're working together to accomplish a common task. I think that's a really cool example of teamwork.
And it's kind of... So I don't want to speak for you, but for me,
tell me.
that duo would represent kind of not judging a book by its cover. There's more to people than what initially meets the eye.
So that is why they're very similar to the other ones I have, which are tied with kind of Marlin and Dory, which is Russell and Carl from Up.
Yes.
Because in a very similar way, they're from 2 different backgrounds that don't quite understand each other.
Totally different generations.
Yeah. And that's also one of my all-time favorites. Yeah, so I have I think it is going to be Russell and Carl.
I think it should be, because I think that not only does it represent all the things that you're talking about already, But as Brooke brought up, it kind of represents, if we're talking about all the things that Disney does, it's bringing two drastically separate generations together in agreement on something, which is that, like, Disney...
That common denominator.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Disney's for everyone. You can relate to Disney with your grandparents. You can relate to it with your best friends. You can relate to it with your kids.
Yeah. Yes.
Good job, producer Matt.
That's why I'm here.
Give
Thanks,
us
producer
some
Matt.
beats.
So there we go. We got Russell and Carl, which represents understanding. Mickey and Minnie are my classics. Lady and Tramp are my love. Fox and Hound is bonding. And Timon and Pumbaa is
Friendship.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
So that's how I went about it.
I think
and there were
that's a good
several
way to
other
go
steps
about
that
it.
I took between
That's
there
a
to get
much,
to here.
like, more sentimental way to approach it than I did. I went balls to the wall with my Mouse Rushmores. So, I mean, if you want, I can start.
First, before you just dive in, I would like a little backstory as far as how you determined creating the multiple lists you did.
So I started with a few of my personal favorites. And I thought, well, all of them are so different. They represent a different aspect to a friendship or a part of the movie that it makes more sense for me to bring light to those different, categories. Sidekicks, princesses, love interests, men, leading men, villains, stuff like that. So that's why I decided to build multiple to sort of, expand on the whole Disney universe, sort of incorporate a little bit of everything and not just keep it with my sentimental picks.
Very good.
But like picks that were sentimental, but also that I thought deserved to have a specific piece of the Disney pie on Mouse Rushmore.
I love
per
it.
se. So the very first one I did, and it's probably a little weird that I started with them, but I have found that they tend to be my favorite parts of Disney movies. So my first Mouse Rushmore is dedicated to Sidekicks.
Ooh, all right.
So on here, and this one I have, I think 6. One of them's a duo, so I'm counting them as one. But I've got Miko, because he is probably my favorite sidekick of all time. I have Thumper,
Cute.
Timon and Pumbaa, I'm counting them as one.
Yeah, they're one.
Tinkerbell,
Yes.
and a late addition that I just felt had to be included was Genie.
Yeah?
Yep. I had to include Genie as a sidekick.
Tell me why Genie was a late addition.
So honestly, I didn't know if Abu or Genie was considered more of a sidekick. But in the grand scheme of all things Aladdin, I felt like Genie had more of an impact while not being a primary character. He wasn't a primary character, but he still had good influence.
Huge influence and impact.
And to be honest, I love Robin Williams. And Genie is just such a memorable character.
Absolutely.
You can't recreate Genie. I don't care what you do. Like, you can recreate Miko a little bit, like kind of like Hey Hey or Pua almost, but you cannot
can't do a Genie.
recreate Genie. You just can't do it.
Are they trying to do a live action?
They
of
are
Aladdin?
doing live action. Will Smith is Genie. And I'm actually kind of okay with Will Smith being Genie. I would have preferred they didn't use Genie at all. But I think Will Smith can bring a new flavor to the character that sets it apart from Robin Williams so that I don't have to compare the two. That's what I'm hoping for, at least.
Interesting.
Maybe I'm being kind of, optimistic in that, but I'm hoping Will Smith brings his own flavor to it and separates the two enough that you can't really compare them. They're their own separate things and can be appreciated separately.
I think if Will Smith were to tap into his roots, and by that I mean,
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
yeah, honestly,
Yeah.
that charisma that really gave him that sparkle and spunk, I think it'll be good. If it's anything like the more recent Will Smith things that have come
He's
out,
tried to be too serious.
I'll be
lately.
underwhelmed.
He's been too serious in his roles lately, and that's why I really like him going to Genie. I think it's kind of getting him back to his roots.
Yeah.
But I digress.
All right.
Those were my sidekicks. And Thumper, I thought, what? He has such a classic line. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Like, that's such good advice. That's such something like my best friend would tell me.
Yeah.
He's iconic. He's that iconic sidekick that I chose. Kind of like Tinkerbell.
Yeah.
She is Peter Pan's sidekick. She's a sassy little pixie that we all love. We all have a friend who's a little sassy. I tend to be that friend for most of my friends. And then Timon and Pumbaa, I don't need to explain them.
No.
And then, of course, Genie, I felt he had to be there.
Yeah.
So
I think that was a
sidekicks,
good addition.
There's so many sidekicks. It was kind of hard to whittle it down, but I felt these ones were the most influential of sidekicks. Maybe not Miko. That's more of my sentimental choice.
So let's, for the sake of making this episode extra interesting, let's take one head from each one of Brooke's individual mountains to build a singular mountain that represents all of the different pieces.
Someone's going to have to write them down.
Oh, so, all right. So, of that mountain,
Yeah.
pick your one.
Okay.
Because I know what I think it should be, but I'm curious on what you guys go with.
So my sentimental side wants to pick Miko, but
Yeah.
I think the iconic Disney sidekick. I feel like that's hard. I feel like Timon and Pumbaa and Genie.
Those are literally the three that I have in my head. Timon and Pumbaa is my pick just because without them in that movie,
But
a lot
there's
would,
no Aladdin
that's the
without
same,
Genie.
That's true. Shit.
You could maybe get through The Lion King without Timon or without Pumbaa.
Could you, though?
You can't do it.
Could you do
Without
Lion
both
King
of
without
them.
Hakuna Matata?
I feel like Timon.
Because it's a wonderful phrase.
It is. It means no worries for the rest of your days. Here's the thing. I don't mean... You can't do Lion King without both of them, for sure.
No.
But you could remove one, and I
be
still
okay.
think have Hakuna Matata.
I could see that.
Potentially. Not the same, but you could still have it. You cannot have Aladdin without Genie.
So it's Genie.
I feel like Genie has to be
It's
on
Genie.
that.
And you know what? Shout out to Robin Williams. He deserves
He's
he
the-
deserves a carving in a
He's
mountain.
the sidekick OG
So
for Disney.
I'm going to throw this out there. I would have went with Tinkerbell. Because when I think of what, like, not only does she represent sidekicks, but, like, she starts every Disney movie. She flies up there and hits the wand to kick off the movie.
That's
like,
true. So I'm not deciding off of like who has the most like feature time in
Okay.
kind of Disney, but who embodies the sidekick
Okay,
the most.
that makes sense. So we're putting. I'll keep a track of this.
Yeah.
So we're putting.
I
Genie
no,
as
I
an
like
official
being
head.
challenged, but I feel like Genie embodies the sidekick. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
he is what a sidekick is.
All right, I'm writing it down.
Perfect.
Okay.
List number 2 from Brooke.
List number 2 is princesses.
Okay.
So this one, I have 4 heads. I'm open to debate. I struggled with this one a lot, but I came down to 4 who I think are pretty solid.
Let's
But
hear 'em.
I'm open to suggestions.
Let's hear him.
So number 1, and I feel like this one there is no challenging. Cinderella.
Cinderella.
You don't challenge Cinderella. Cinderella
No.
is the quintessential Disney princess. 2,
Yeah.
Ariel. 4, Jasmine.
Mm-hmm.
Or 3, Jasmine, I'm sorry. Wine.
Fourth glass of wine,
Fourth
third glass of wine, something.
Yeah. 3 is Jasmine, and 4 is my sentimental pick of Pocahontas, because what else did you expect? I would
course.
have put Elsa on here, but she's a queen, just so you all know. So she doesn't get to go with the princesses,
Good.
because she's a damn queen.
That's right.
So yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Would you argue any of them? Matt, don't chime in.
So we have Cinderella.
Mm-hmm.
We have
Ariel,
Ariel,
Jasmine.
Jasmine, and Pocahontas.
Mm-hmm. I thought about putting Snow White on here, but I didn't because I feel like Cinderella kind of encompasses that classic time, and she just
I would agree.
is more princessy than
I would
Snow
agree.
White.
I think you have a pretty solid list. And I'm trying to think, what other princesses am I missing?
There's Tiana.
Well, I remember I never saw Princess and the Frog.
So, true story.
So I couldn't
I've
tell you
only
about
seen
it.
half of it. I was in college and I was pretty drunk, so I need to really dedicate time to watch that.
So no offense to that princess, we just don't know much about her.
True. I actually did research on her before creating this list because
Okay.
I wanted to make sure I was, really thinking about all the princesses. And I think she's good, but she's a little outshined by some other princesses.
Agreed.
I mean, and you can argue that she's probably better than Pocahontas, maybe, but Pocahontas is my sentimental pick, so fuck off. She's making the Mouse Rushmore.
I don't care who it is. Nobody's going to... No. Pocahontas is Pocahontas, and that's up at the
That's
top.
right. Pocahontas is Pocahontas.
I think I'm in agreement with your list. Yeah.
Matt, would you like to chime in? No? Okay. So
No
of
comment?
this
All right.
one, I think I think Cinderella has to go on Mouse Rushmore.
Because it's classic, yeah.
She
Perfect.
is the Disney princess.
Perfect.
So
Love it.
then my third mountain is just classic Disney. The classic iconic Disney characters. Not necessarily movies, but in just, short films, cartoons.
What do we pick?
What have you? You've got, I can go through these real quick. You can probably guess some. Mickey, Donald, Goofy, Pluto.
Beautiful.
Obviously, Mickey goes on the mountain.
I forgot about Pluto.
I know this has been brought up so many times by so many different people, but it still infuriates me that Goofy and Pluto are both dogs. And one is like a human, and the other is just a dog. And I just don't get it because they are both dogs. So what's happening here? What was the logic behind this, Disney? Why does a mouse own a dog?
I would put Mickey on there.
Yeah. I almost put Daisy on here just to have a female classic character because I love Daisy. I think she's great. But at the end of the day, I think those four are just...
I think that's good.
Yeah.
So I have no evidence on this. This is strictly a theory. But to answer the Goofy Pluto question,
Yeah.
from my understanding, Goofy was never originally intended to be part of the Mickey, Donald, Minnie, Pluto universe. He was a separate short film cartoon character.
They really goofed
Yeah.
then, didn't they?
Because if you watch all of the original Goofy animated shorts that are all just like these weird instructional videos where bad things happen to him as like patient X or whatever. So I feel like the problem is that then they inserted him into that world, and it's kind of like thinking of two different Nicktoons, like being like, well, why does Spike not talk in Rugrats but Cat Dog can talk?
Yeah.
Like it's two different worlds that they just smashed into one world.
Yeah. So after that, did
But
you write
wait,
down
no.
that Mickey?
So, Mickey. Okay.
It has to be Mickey.
I just wanted to make
Mickey.
sure, try to be respectful.
Then I had villains, and I have 5 villains on here.
I'm excited for this list to talk about this.
I love the villains. The villains are great. And I kind of had a hard time. I'm still debating a little bit on one versus the other. But I have Cruella, Scar, Maleficent, Ursula, and a late 5th edition of Hook.
Hook's a good one.
I love
Hook's
Hook.
a classic.
I feel like he's such an underappreciated villain. I love him. But I'll say I was deciding between Hook and Hades. Because Hades is fantastic.
Hades
he
is
saves Hercules. That movie does not translate well as an adult, but Hades is fantastic.
Hades is
no
like
matter what.
hashtag adulting.
Yes, I love Hades. Like as an adult, I'm just like, I feel you, dude.
I get it.
I am you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So fun fact about Hades is that James Wood enjoyed playing that character so much that
he
he's
just
like,
became the devil himself.
Pretty much.
yes,
Yeah.
but also he has like voiced that character in video games and on like TV show. Like he refuses to let anyone else voice that character
Hades
because
is
he loves
great.
it so much.
I love Hades. I think Hades is one of the most likable villains of all time.
He really is.
He's great. But those were my villains. So Cruella, I feel like she has to be on there.
Yeah.
I also didn't like that I had a lot of female villains down. I really hated that. That's why I added Hook late, and I was thinking about adding Hades as well. Because women are not all evil. We just have moments, okay? Calm down.
So I've never seen Maleficent, so I can't speak to that. If anything on that
she's
list, that would be my toss-up.
Snow White.
Sleeping Beauty.
Is she Sleeping Beauty?
I think she's Sleeping Beauty.
No.
Is it Sleeping Beauty?
I thought she was Snow White.
It's the apple
shit.
one. Which one's the apple?
Snow White.
Okay.
So that'd be Maleficent,
That's
right?
Maleficent, I thought. No, you know what? Maybe it is Snow White. Or
Sleeping Beauty?
Oh, shit.
The 1959 animated film Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping Beauty. What am I thinking of then?
Sleeping Beauty.
So it is Sleeping Beauty. Forgive me, I'm an idiot.
That's right. I got it. So
But Maleficent, classic, as long as you know what classic she's from. Ursula, because yes, just I love Ursula.
she's a good villain.
She's so good. I almost had Gaston on here, but he can't really be a villain because he's incredible.
And he's not. He's in a way kind of not a. He is, but
Oh, we have to have
He's
a
an
whole
antagonist.
episode dedicated.
I feel more than
to
a villain.
Beauty and the Beast because I have so many opinions. But anyway, Ursula and then Hook, I feel like Hook's underappreciated. And I really like him. I do. I like that he's evil, but he is also so pathetic.
Yeah.
I love that.
And he relies on everybody else to kind of
Do his dirty work. I like it. So who is the Disney villain that makes it to the overall Mouse Rushmore?
So you mentioned, you said Scar was one of them?
Scar is one of them.
So I was actually talking to this about my roommate as I was coming up with my list and expressing my frustrations. Scar was the first character he said that should be on that list. And I said, why?
Siblicide.
And his interpretation of this I thought was pretty cool. And he said, well, without Scar,
there's
no Lion King. Because if Scar didn't do what he did, Simba would have never had the experience he did or gotten to where he was, because nothing would have ever prompted him to do that. So that made me think, imagine doing a whole thing on which character in the movie really was the most influential in making that movie happen.
Scar. But you could say the same thing about Cruella de Vil.
So does she belong on the list?
There is no 101 Dalmatians without Cruella.
There's no Peter Pan without Hook.
There's no... Ariel's not getting her legs without Ursula.
That's true.
But I think to what Andrew's roommate's point is, though, is without Cruella de Vil, the ending point of 101 Dalmatians would still be the ending point, which is that they have all of these dogs. Whereas with the Lion King...
It'd be a totally different movie, though.
Simba would just be the king without having learned any lessons about friendship. They
could still have Mufasa die in a stampede without,
That's true.
Scarring us. I do agree, though. I think the Siblicide portion of The Lion King is so traumatic.
Mm-hmm.
It's so influential to Disney as a whole. That's straight up murder between, blood.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge turning point for Disney. I think that's a big moment in any Disney film. Ursula, Cruella, Maleficent, you can kind of blend them.
Mm-hmm.
Even Hook and Hades, you can kind of blend them. But Scar stands alone and straight up, killing his brother. I think Scar has to go on.
Scar. It's Scar.
It's Scar.
Boom.
That piece of shit. I hate you. My next mountain was for Pixar characters.
Yay!
I actually kind of had a little bit of a struggle for my fourth head. So I have Woody. Fight me. Woody's on there. Dory, which could go either way. I have Sully from Monsters, Inc. And then I couldn't choose between Wally and Joy from Inside Out. I didn't put Up on there because I feel like there's so many characters that kind of bring the same amount of... that have the same impact on the movie as each other. So I couldn't really discern one from the other.
That's a tough one. That's a whole tough...
I feel like Joy might... I don't know. I really like Wally. I like the whole story there. The whole message. Eva.
Wally was a movie that I did not expect to enjoy near as much as I did.
Wally has
love
such
a character so
profound
much.
Message.
Yeah.
Holy hell. That is eye-opening.
Start recycling people, damn it.
Start walking.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Get off your asses and your iPads, kids.
Kids, watch a movie on VHS.
What's a VHS?
Exactly. But I also really liked Joy. I liked her unabounding enthusiasm. And that whole message in Inside Out where it's like, you can't have one emotion without the other.
Mm-hmm.
You can't appreciate that unabounding joy without experiencing that sadness.
Yeah.
I really like that.
I
As
think
someone
that
with
should
anxiety, I totally, that just resonates with me.
I think that should be the one. Because...
But they're so good. They both have such good messages. You know what I mean? One's more for humanity as a whole, and the other one is kind of just like a personal,
That's
life
true.
level. So how do you pick?
Well, so if you're trying to fit them onto your Pixar mountain, you really didn't seem like you were that sold on Dory even being there at all. So why not eliminate Dory for Wally
because
and
I
Joy?
like Dory.
You,
I feel like Dory
Matt, you
is
can't get rid of
important.
Dory from the Pixar
She
mountain.
won't even remember that she was taken off the mountain.
True. But I think there's something charming about that. There's something charming about her. So I think of the Nemo. Stop laughing. You aren't
you.
even that funny.
Our producer Matt is dying right now over his own
He's
joke.
He's laughing at himself so hard right now. It's a little pathetic.
Wiping a tear even.
Can you hear him? He's laughing at himself. His own joke. Jesus. And just for that, Dory stays.
You know what? Let that mountain have 6.
It was called Finding Nemo, and then the second one was called Finding Dory because she stole the damn show. So,
Make your mountain 6.
yeah, that one might be 6. But if we're gonna go on to the big mountain, it's
Dory's
Woody.
slim.
Woody makes it to the overall mountain. Obviously, he is Pixar.
He really is.
I would say Woody and Buzz, but Woody more than Buzz
Agreed.
because Woody is dope and he's a cowboy, and I like.
Matt, if you disagree,
My next one, so I really actually liked doing this mountain a lot.
Tell me.
It's Leading Men.
ooh,
Leading Men.
hit me with it.
Peter Pan.
Beautiful.
You're going to like this. Tarzan.
Yes.
Simba.
Perfect.
Aladdin.
Beautiful.
What do we think?
Hold on, let me go through my list. Is there anybody else I think is more deserving than those fine gentlemen?
I mean, I think that's the Leading Men. I think that's kind of true. And these are animated films. I should have put that disclaimer at the beginning. I did base all this off animated films.
Yeah. Yes, same.
But who makes it to the big one? So if we're going to go classic, it's Peter Pan. But I think...
Peter Pan's technically a boy, so can he be a leading man?
Yeah.
Good. I
Yeah.
like that answer. Okay.
I'm fighting for either Simba or Aladdin, personally. Simba...
I say Simba just because I think he'd look more badass carved into
He's
a mountain.
king.
Yeah.
But I want to bring this up. You already do have a character from Lion King and a character from Aladdin currently represented on the big mountain.
No, I don't.
You
I have
Scar
Genie.
and
I have
Genie.
Genie. Oh, yeah. Well, those are just good movies. I can't help it. Leading Men. Oh, Aladdin, though. And Simba. I like Tarzan. But does he outshine Simba or
You know
Aladdin?
what? I mean, if you're going for whoever, I think Simba is right. If we're trying to be fair to movies separated on the
Not
mountain.
all movies are created equal.
Yeah.
Not all movies are created
But
equal.
if you had to pick a separate movie, I would say Tarzan is leading man just because of all the leading men. He had like no parents. He was really kind of figured it all out by himself with some apes. And he did a pretty
Aladdin
damn good
didn't
job.
have parents.
Who?
Not when we saw him. Aladdin.
That's true.
He was a street rat.
He had that monkey.
Abu.
Yeah. And he had Genie.
He got Genie. He earned that.
That's true.
Tarzan just got found in the jungle with some monkeys.
But he don't need no magic carpet to get around.
I mean, I would love to have a magic carpet. Tarzan swings from vines. Like, that's a thing that can actually happen. That would be cool, though. I would like either.
I
of
think
those.
that's more... Actually, I think that's quite more possible than a magic
I
carpet
don't know.
ride.
Have you ever done witchcraft?
I mean, that's a whole
You could
other
get a flying
topic to get
carpet.
into, but...
So my gut tells me Simba.
I think that's right.
My gut tells me Simba.
And that's the biggest, also, like, boy to man.
It's a very
Trials and
boys' man
tribulation.
story. I think if we're gonna have a backup, like if anyone challenges us to not have the same movie repeated, I would put Tarzan as the backup
I appreciate
to
that.
Simba.
I love that movie.
Just because I also think that's a boy to man story.
Absolutely. Baby to
So-
man.
Baby to man, yeah.
Infant. Newborn
He
to man.
was a cute little baby in the movie.
We saw his life.
So my gut tells me Simba. So after that, I have love interests, both male and female.
So these are like couples?
Yes, these are the love interests of the main character.
Okay.
I have my personal favorite, Flynn Rider from Tangled.
Beautiful.
This sounds weird. We should talk about this another time, but attractive animated characters. He's an attractive animated
Isn't
character.
it weird?
And I'm just like, I feel weird about this, Flynn Rider, but you're pretty cute.
I would kiss this cartoon.
I would maybe make out with you. I like Flynn Rider. Nala,
Ooh, no, that's good.
Prince Eric,
Mm-hmm.
and Tramp.
Perfect.
Those are my 4. Obviously, cutting out a lot of other, love interests.
No, I think that's good.
But I think those are very memorable
Mm-hmm.
love interests. I love Flynn Rider. I honestly think Flynn Rider steals Tangled from Rapunzel. I think he is that movie, but maybe that's just me.
What was... I'm having a brain fart. The love interest's name in Frozen. Kristoff. He reminds me a little bit of Flynn.
Except not as funny.
Not as funny, but still like... They didn't
like
push it as
Kristoff.
far.
I like Kristoff. I really like that him and Anna aren't, I mean, they're a little obvious in the film, but she doesn't fall in love with him,
Yeah.
It's Prince Hans.
Yes.
So I like that, but Flynn Rider, I think overall, is just kind of a bit more charismatic and cheeky and,
Down to earth.
yeah, kind of relatable. I feel like we all kind of know a guy that's at least a little bit like Flynn Rider. If we knew anyone just like Flynn Rider, I would be with him.
You know what? I think you're right. Flynn Rider.
Flynn Rider. I like
So
it.
who's
Ugh,
who's
so
the
who do we
one?
choose? So I don't think Nala, as much as I like her,
No, she's quiet.
but
She's quiet.
Prince Eric in Little Mermaid.
He's kind of an attractive.
She's the whole reason why she's like, I'm going up there.
She literally grew legs for that man.
She traded her voice to the sea witch Ursula
Yeah.
to get some damn legs for that boy because he has dark hair and blue eyes, and who doesn't like that?
Has anybody else gone that far for their love?
I mean, Lady decided to date like a hobo pretty much for Tramp. I like Tramp too. I really do. I think he's a good one as well for love interest.
That one's so cute.
I'm going to throw this out there. I actually think Flynn's the best of the options because if you think about it, Ariel changed herself a lot for Eric, but
More for herself.
Flynn actually helped Rapunzel discover a side.
That's why
of
we
herself.
all want
Yeah.
a Flynn Rider.
That's what I mean. I think Flynn Rider encompasses everything that you want in a Disney love interest.
Agree.
But couldn't you?
That's why I want to
also-
date him in real life.
Could you argue that Eric from The Little Mermaid, while he wasn't directly influencing her to find herself, himself being him influenced her enough to find herself and who she wanted to be?
I feel like Little Mermaid, and here's my one problem with Little Mermaid, and she changes so much about herself just to get the guy. And that's a little ridiculous.
That's true.
So I like that Rapunzel was herself and Flynn embraced it and aided her in her journey without changing her per se.
He
As much as
elevated her.
As he kind of showed her who she really was. Kind of
Polish
helped her
those
find
qualities,
things
yeah.
about herself that were already there.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I love Flynn. You don't have to convince me.
I think it's Flynn.
Flynn Rider. Oh my god, I want to marry him.
And the vote goes to Flynn.
He's not real though. He's a cartoon.
Who
What's wrong with
plays
me?
him?
I don't know. That's a good question. Let's look at Matt.
I'm on it.
Who plays Flynn
Who's
Rider?
Flynn Rider, and is he single?
He does not look like him.
Oh,
It's Zachary Levi from Chuck, the actor who played Chuck in the TV show Chuck.
I have no idea what that is. All right, so Flynn Rider made it, and I'm gonna date him later. We'll talk about that.
I
on
think
another
definitely
podcast.
Flynn Rider makes it because not only did we just have a 10, 15-minute discussion about it, we also went so far as to look up this man, and I'm now on Instagram stalking him from a year ago.
Flynn Rider makes it.
Flynn Rider gets
Flynn
it.
Rider it is. So my remaining mountains are unfinished, and I think we can build them together.
We can do it.
Except for one mountain. I have a whole mountain dedicated to the 100-acre wood because you need that. And I don't care who you are, you need it.
Yes.
But which one of those from the 100-acre wood makes it to the mountain? Obviously, Winnie the Pooh. There's no discussion there.
Yeah.
Done. Okay. Did you write that down, Matt? Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie.
Then I have minor characters, which is a very selfish character for me because I chose my favorite minor characters.
That
in
fucking
several
chicken from
different-
Moana.
No. Pua the pig from Moana.
Much better.
I love Pua.
Perfect.
I've got...
He's
Where is it?
deserving.
Where is it?
Oh, who
I
else is on
have-
this list?
I have a Pua piggy bank in here somewhere. It might be in my bedroom right now. I can't remember where I put it, or it's in the guest room.
Mission find.
But I do have a stuffed Pua pig that I got for my birthday a month ago in my bedroom right now as well. I love Pua.
Yay.
Gus from Cinderella because he's so cute.
Good.
And Percy from Pocahontas.
Perfect.
So we need one more.
It's hard. The who?
Creaky? I thought about putting Creaky on there. I thought about it. So
It's hard because
that's available, but I also really like Crush from Finding Nemo. The turtle.
Yeah, Crush would be
Cuckoo, ka-choo.
Crush would be someone that would be cool on there. It's hard because I keep thinking like secondary characters, not like minor characters.
That's the thing. I tried to pick characters that had
You know
enough of
they're
a
that, like,
presence
little
that you know
pop-up.
them, but they aren't vital to the movie.
Okay, I thought of one just randomly. Can't think of his name. Can't think of the character's name. But it is the fat caterpillar from Bug's Life. But he's so like giddy and like
Yeah.
chummy. He's one I would have at least on a short list.
I forgot about him. I feel like he could make it.
See what I mean?
I like him.
All those movies that we forgot about.
You know what also surprises me? This is kind of going off topic a little bit. When I was doing the princesses, I really wanted to put Alice in Wonderland on there.
Even though she's not a princess.
She's not a princess, so I didn't put her on there.
But she's
and also
cool.
leading men, I almost put Bambi.
Bambi could have... Oh, that would have been a cool one.
I know, I thought about putting Bambi in there. I personally... Bambi's one of my favorite Disney movies of all time. Speaking of Bambi, I have a 1914 edition of the book that I bought in Scotland 2 years ago. It's
Damn.
pretty sweet. I also have a 1910 version of Alice in Wonderland. I think it's 1910. Maybe it's 1920. Something like that. That I bought in Scotland also. But yeah. I thought about putting Bambi on there. But that's a different mountain that we're going to talk about. So of those four, who goes on? I say Percy. But that's me. I feel like this one is really up to kind of individual preference because
Yeah.
there's so many minor characters.
Yep.
So obviously I love Pocahontas, so I'm going to say Percy because he really sticks out to me. So I was like Percy or Gus, but we already have Cinderella, so that's why I'm going with Percy.
It's your list, so I say if Percy is what
I'm going to
sticks
go with
you,
Percy.
that's what it is.
We'll do Percy. Okay. I need your help with this one.
All right.
The live action characters. And I don't know... God, I can't remember all the live action freaking Disney movies there are. But I have Mary Poppins number one. First and foremost, Mary Poppins.
Perfect.
Second, and I don't know if this is a Disney movie. I'm a little scared. I don't think it is. But I know that there is an attraction. But Indiana Jones?
That's Disney.
Is it Disney?
The Indiana Jones ride is in Disney World, so I would say so.
Yeah, that's what I thought because I was like, there's
Which one?
there's
That's
some
an
kind of
MGM.
attraction.
It is.
Yeah.
So Indiana Jones.
That's actually a fun ride.
I feel like Indiana Jones.
I think
should be
that's a
in there.
good one. Who else
But
do you
those
have?
are those are the only two I have was Mary Poppins and Indiana
For
Jones.
your live action?
Yeah. I thought about putting the actress from the live action Cinderella because I thought the live action Cinderella was actually really good.
Yeah.
Or like Richard Madden, who plays Prince Charming, who also plays Robb Stark in Game of Thrones. He's very attractive.
Live action's a difficult
Scottishman.
one.
I like him.
So Indiana Jones is a weird one. So technically it's not released by any subsidiary of Disney, but Disney does own the rights to park attraction-based versions of the character. So I say that it counts.
But that's all I have for live action.
I would add Julie Andrews.
She's Mary Poppins. Come on, I already have Mary. She's number one.
What?
She's probably going to make it to the final mountain. What about
cartoon
Mia Thermopolis from Princess Diaries.
I think that counts. Or what about the princess from Enchanted?
So I'm looking at it right now.
I've never seen Enchanted.
Oh,
What about The Parent Trap?
Ew. No Lindsay Lohan.
Oh.
I
Splash
think
was a
Mia
Disney movie.
Thermopolis goes on Princess Diaries.
Bette Midler from Hocus Pocus.
Yes! Yes! Why didn't I think of that? Yes! Bette Midler. There's our 4. So,
Sanderson.
Winifred Sanderson, Indiana Jones, Mary Poppins, Mia Thermopolis. Oh my god, how do I choose between Mary Poppins and Winifred Sanderson?
Oh, wait, is that... I didn't know that was Disney.
What?
The Santa Claus.
Yeah, dude, Tim Allen.
So Tim Allen
I know,
would also
in
be...
Santa Claus.
Because he's so good in that
That's
movie.
such a good...
The original, for
Christmas
sure.
movie.
The others are...
The other one,
But the original, great.
It's so good.
Shia LaBeouf from Holes.
No.
Oh.
Not on the same caliber that these other ones on. Maybe Mia Thermopolis level, but I almost say we remove Mia Thermopolis and put Scott Calvin on there, who is the Santa Claus.
Okay, now I'm just thinking about this. We really
But I
need to have a
love
live
Mia
action
Thermopolis
because I'm thinking
too.
like...
So maybe there's 5 on this mountain. Mia Thermopolis. So Mary Poppins, Indiana Jones, Mia Thermopolis, Winifred Sanderson, and Scott Calvin.
Oh my gosh, look at all these movies.
You have a witch and Santa Claus.
Johnny Depp from the Pirates of the Caribbean.
No.
Okay.
No. And the thing
But there's
is,
so many.
exactly. There are so many. Pirates of the Caribbean, the first one, is great. I love it.
If there was no sequels, would Captain Jack Sparrow be on this mountain?
He would, I think so. Because I love him in the first one. But he gets so played out, and I'm just kind of annoyed.
So, you know...
But then you have the whole Marvel universe, too. And then you've got, Chris Pratt, who I just love based off of Andy Dwyer in Parks and Rec. I would just pick him for everything if I could.
I mean, I think it's probably best based on the rest of your mountains to avoid the stuff that was acquired later.
Yeah.
Like the Indiana
Star
Jones
Wars
and
and
Star
Marvel.
Wars and the Marvel and stuff like
So
that.
should we avoid Indiana Jones?
I
Should
think
we
we
take
should
him
take
off?
him off,
Should
yeah.
we take him off? Okay. So then I think Jack Sparrow goes on.
Okay.
So it'd be Mary Poppins, Jack Sparrow, Mia Thermopolis, Scott Calvin, and Winifred Sanderson. I would even take Mia Thermopolis off, maybe.
And replace with...
No one.
Just leave it at that.
Yeah. I do. I think she's an honorable mention, though, Mia Thermopolis, because I love The Princess Diaries. I think that's a great film.
Oh, my God. You know, it's funny, thinking about... We've talked a lot about animated films, and now we're thinking about live action. And I would just pulled up a live action Disney movie list. And that list is so much longer than animated films.
I
And I'm like,
know.
holy shit,
But
these
a lot
are
of
really a
them-
lot of my favorite films.
There are a lot that aren't good, too, though.
I know.
Let's be real.
That's
Like
going to be a
what?
lot of debate.
Was Blank Check one of them? But The First Kid and, stuff like that.
I think we got our 4 for this, though.
Yeah. And I think Mary Poppins obviously makes the mountain. So, Matt, please read us off the final Brooke Mouse Rushmore.
So I made a slight ordering change on this, but it is Genie, Cinderella, Mickey Mouse. I moved Simba up to be next to Scar, so it's not so jarring for there to be 2 lion heads.
We're not
spread
talking
out.
about the placement.
I'm just saying, I'm throwing them out there. So Simba and Scar next to each other because they're kind of intertwined. But if anyone complains, Simba becomes Tarzan. Woody,
Yes.
Flynn Rider,
Yeah.
Winnie the Pooh, Percy, and Mary Poppins.
Yes. I like it.
You got a good mix in there of classic and modern.
Yeah. I think that's Mouse Rushmore for you guys.
I think that's Mice Rushmore at this point.
Yeah.
There are
Mice
many.
Rushmore.
So, yeah, that is Mouse Rushmore. What heads did we miss? If you guys can think of ones we did miss, which I'm sure you did, being there are so many of you with so many different opinions. If you have them, please let us know on our Facebook group, DisNeatos, or email us at DisNeatoPodcast@gmail.com.
Next week will be the 20-year anniversary of one of my all-time favorite movies, so tune in next week to find out what movie it is.
I can't wait.
I know. Hey!
listening to the Geekscape Network.